The aquifer had no name in 8000 BCE because there was no one alive yet to name it. Marcus Venn noted this in his log, the way he noted everything, precisely, without editorializing, and then he climbed down from the retrieval platform and began setting up his equipment in the dark. The cave was vast and cool and smelled of limestone and deep water. His headlamp threw a pale circle across the rock floor. Somewhere below him, detectable only by the resonance scanner strapped to his forearm, lay one of the largest prehistoric aquifers ever recorded, 240 cubic kilometers of clean water, laid down over 10,000 years of glacial melt, undisturbed, untouched, waiting. He had done this 41 times. The work was unglamorous and essential, and he was very good at it. The Temporal Resource Authority had been operating for 190 years, born out of the agricultural collapse of the 22nd century. The collapse had been slow and then sudden, the way such things always were. Decades of warnings, decades of inaction, then a decade in which the water table across half the inhabited world simply gave up. The TRA's mandate was straightforward in concept and extraordinarily complex in practice. Go back, before human civilization had touched the deep aquifers, before the water table had any record worth protecting, and retrieve what was needed. Small amounts, carefully distributed across millennia, so no single era felt the loss. The past was vast and deep, and the quantities required, measured against it, were negligible. That was the theory. Marcus pulled the extraction housing from his equipment case and began assembling it. His hands moved from muscle memory, while his mind was elsewhere, on his daughter specifically, and the treatment schedule that depended on the water allocation his retrieval quota would unlock when he returned. Lena was 8 years old and had never in her life drunk water that didn't come from a ration card. He found, as he worked, that this fact had stopped making him angry and had started making him tired, which he understood to be a different and more serious condition. The resonance scanner chimed. Marcus looked at his forearm display. He read the number twice. Then he crouched down and ran the scan again, pressing the device flat against the cave floor to improve the contact reading. The number did not change. The aquifer below him contained, according to the scanner, approximately 43 cubic kilometers of water. Not 240, 43. He stood up slowly. He pulled up the geological survey that the TRA's advance team had filed 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks in his time, 10,000 years in the future, which had assessed the aquifer at its full recorded volume. The survey was thorough and accurately conducted, and the number it gave was 240 cubic kilometers. Between the survey and his arrival, someone had taken the rest. Marcus sat down on the cave floor and opened the full extraction log for this site on his terminal. It took the terminal 40 seconds to load, which told him before he read a single entry that the log was very long. There were 853 prior extractions recorded at these coordinates. The oldest was dated 187 years, TRA operational year 3. The most recent was dated 11 months ago. They were filed by different agents assigned from different TRA offices across 3 centuries of future history, each one sent to what their briefing documents described as a pristine, untouched prehistoric aquifer with a recorded volume of 240 cubic kilometers. Each agent had arrived and found less water than expected. Each agent filed a report noting the discrepancy. 853 reports sitting in the TRA archive, each one describing the same anomaly, each one requesting an audit, each one marked reviewed, no action required, extraction completed. Marcus pulled up his own mission parameters. His assigned quota, the amount his single retrieval was authorized to extract, was 0.2 cubic kilometers, a precisely rationed amount, enough to supply a mid-sized city for several years, enough to fund Lena's treatment 3 times and still have allocation remaining. Measured against 240 cubic kilometers, it was a drop in the ocean. He did the arithmetic. 853 agents, each extracting an average quota of roughly 0.2 cubic kilometers. The total came to just under 197 cubic kilometers. Added to the 43 remaining, it reconciled almost exactly with the original survey. Every extraction had been negligible. The aggregate had been catastrophic. He read through the earliest reports, looking for the audit response. He found it in year 7 of TRA operations, a thorough internal review conducted by a subcommittee which had concluded the following. The discrepancy between survey volumes and extraction site volumes was attributable to natural geological variation in deep aquifer measurement, which was known to carry a margin of error of up to 30%. The subcommittee recommended recalibrating survey instruments. It did not recommend suspending extractions. Marcus understood, sitting on the cave floor in 8000 BCE, that the subcommittee had been wrong. The discrepancy was not geological variation. The discrepancy was 853 prior visits. Each agent had arrived at a site that had already been partially drained by the agents who had come before them. Agents from further in the future sent back to the same coordinates because the TRA's assignment system, which distributed retrieval sites across a database of prehistoric aquifers, had flagged this one as untouched every time, because its survey data was filed once and never updated, because no one had built a system to cross-reference extraction logs against survey records across 190 years of operations, because the TRA was a large institution, and large institutions had a particular genius for not seeing what they did not wish to see. He did the rest of the arithmetic slowly, because he wanted to be certain. The total volume extracted from this site across 190 years of TRA operations was just under 200 cubic kilometers, distributed across the deep water table of North Africa and the Middle East, infiltrating water systems over millennia, expressing itself as a slow, cumulative, imperceptible reduction in available moisture across the breadth of a continent. No single extraction had been enough to register. The aggregate was. The agricultural collapse of the 22nd century had begun, the historical record showed, with a prolonged failure of the water table across North Africa and the Middle East. Marcus sat very still for a long time. He had a daughter who had never drunk unrationed water. He had a quota, 0.2 cubic kilometers, a drop measured against the ocean that once had been here, and he had a terminal that showed him 43 cubic kilometers still remaining in the aquifer below him. There was technically still enough. His extraction would barely register against what remained. He also had 853 reports in an archive that had read every one of them and extracted anyway. He thought about filing his own report. He composed it in his head, thorough, clearly argued, with the full arithmetic laid out so there could be no ambiguity. He thought about what would happen to it.
He thought about the subcommittee in year 7, reviewing the first anomaly reports with access to far less data than he had now, and arriving at the conclusion that was convenient rather than the one that was true, and marking the file closed. He thought about Lena. He thought about the look she had given him 3 months ago, when the water allocation for her treatment had come through short, and he had told her it would be sorted out, that he was working on it, that she shouldn't worry. He activated the extraction pump. It ran for 3 hours. When it finished, the resonance scanner showed 42.8 cubic kilometers remaining, a deficit so small against the total that no instrument in the TRA's inventory would flag it as significant. In 10,000 years, the hydrologists who would study the collapse of the North African water table would attribute it to a combination of climate variation and agricultural overuse. They would be precise and well-intentioned and completely wrong, and their reports would join a very long tradition of precise, well-intentioned, completely wrong reports. Marcus looked at the scanner reading for a moment. 42.8. The aquifer was not empty. It would not be empty after the next agent either, or the one after that. It would empty the way everything emptied, gradually, then all at once, through the accumulation of individually defensible decisions made by people with daughters at home and quotas to meet and reports that no one would act on. He had not drained it. He had simply not stopped it. He filed his report, thorough, clearly argued, the full arithmetic laid out without ambiguity, marked urgent, and copied to every subcommittee he could find in the directory. Then he packed up his equipment, climbed back onto the retrieval platform, and went home. His report joined 853 others in the archive. In 10,000 years, the region would be a desert. The water was needed now. The damage had been done then, and no one alive had caused it, so no one alive could be expected to stop it. That, Marcus had come to understand, was not a flaw in the system. It was the system.